everyone. I'm Jim Longworth, and aside from having laryngitis, welcome to a very special edition of Triad Today. It's special for two reasons. First of all, this is our 600th episode since premiering in October of 2003. And second, we're devoting the entire half hour to voter education by spending time with the two major party candidates for 6th District Congress. The newly drawn 6th District includes all of Alamance, Caswell, Chatham, Lee, Person, Randolph, and Rockingham counties, as well as part of Guilford County. The winner of the November 8 election will represent approximately 700,000 residents in those counties. Now, with me for this half-hour discussion, our Democratic challenger, Pete Glidewell, the former CEO of a textile company who lives in Elon, and the incumbent Republican Congressman, Mark Walker. Mark is a minister who lives in Guilford County, and he is seeking his second term in Congress this fall. This is their first joint television appearance, and we're honored to have you guys both with us today. Thanks for coming.
Glad to be here, and congratulations.
Thank you. Actually, I'm 150 years old. I've been doing this for 41 years, but this particular show is, don't get any ideas. I like term limits, so I shouldn't say that. It sounds like I'm endorsing you or something. Well, I'm not gonna endorse either of you, unless one of you can cure this, and then you've got my vote. Guys, let's talk about something serious. Terrorist massacres are becoming commonplace with no end in sight. Now, Donald Trump wants to restrict the flow of Muslims into America. Bill O'Reilly says we should declare war on ISIS. The president refuses to recognize Islamic extremism. So everybody's everywhere all over the map. My question to you guys is, and I'll start with Pete, what can Congress do about this, and how can we defeat ISIS?
Well, first of all, Congress has to make sure that the people coming into this country are properly vetted. It will cause more problems if we don't do it correctly. I think Mark has said the same thing. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Congress, though, does have the bully pulpit to go to the president and say, we need to do something about this. They have on their desk a use of forces request from the president that they have not acted on for a year and a half. And I think that's the first thing that needs to be done so we can actually declare war on somebody.
All right.
I would disagree with Mr. Glidewell a little bit. I believe the first thing that needs to happen is the president to properly define what terrorism is. He has refused stubbornly to do that. Just last week, I was in a Jordanian refugee camp 15 kilometers below the Syrian border. The president, or the prime minister of defense, Prince Faisal of Jordan, basically said, we don't have good documentation. Some of it's false documentation, while you have the State Department telling us that it is good documentation. So there's already a contradiction. The very first thing that happened, define it, and then we can move forward as far as how to attack this grotesque enemy.
I want to go back to something that Pete brought up specifically, and that's about who we let in and who we vet. This Syrian situation is already out of hand. And again, I'm an independent. You guys know that. I don't, have a dog in the fight between Hillary and Donald. But Trump looks like he wants to do something about this. Hillary wants to increase what Obama's done in terms of letting Syrian refugees in by 550%. And his own people in the State Department and other departments have told him that terrorists are coming in under the guise of being Syrian refugees. It seems like her proposal is really irresponsible. I know you're a Democrat, maybe you don't want to attack her on this, Pete, but it doesn't make any sense.
Well, the first thing we have to do, either one of us, is represent the people of the 6th District. And as I've said before, unless we properly vet the people coming in, and if we can't vet them, we don't let them in. I think so far in North Carolina, we've let in 250 people. Half of them are women and children. But
the governor says he doesn't have any authority to try to vet them or do anything once they come in. They're sort of thrust on us.
That's a national responsibility, vetting. It's not McCrory's.
Listen, I'm glad that Pete disagrees with administration on this. We do have to do a better job of vetting. Our own FBI director, James Comey, has said, we don't know who's coming in and we can't properly vet. To me, that's good enough to do something about it.
One final thing on terrorists, and then I want to switch to something else. Terrorists don't need guns to kill people. We've seen that already. We've seen 2 axe murder attacks, massacres. We've seen a guy drive a bus into crowds of hundreds and kill 80-some people in France. Bombs. And yet here we get so hung up on gridlock talking about gun control. I don't think there should be assault weapons out on the street myself, but let's just, for sake of argument, I want to ask you guys, since you don't need assault weapons to commit terrorism, why are we so hung up on that? Do you favor an assault weapon ban?
Well, let's play with reality. There are 330 million people in America and 350 million guns already on the street in civilian hands. So the thought of gun control is a moot point in my mind.
Because you can get them anywhere.
You can get them anywhere. I do think Congress should pass at least a law that says that we need to do a background check, and if this person's on the terror watch list, they don't get a gun, or it's delayed or something. Would be a reasonable thing. As far as assault weapons, to me, an assault weapon is just honestly something that's a 22 caliber rifle that can shoot faster than a regular 22.
Big, large magazines.
Large magazine. So the thought of taking guns away from somebody, I don't think is a great idea.
Mark.
Yeah, I'm a big, strong defender of the Second Amendment. It's interesting to note, if you look at Germany's gun laws, they do not even allow a gun in their home for personal safety protection.
Right.
I'm in D.C. 4 days a week. A lot of times I want to make sure that my wife has the opportunity to defend herself. And this narrative of going after law-abiding citizens somewhere has flipped the tracks a little bit. We've got to make sure that we're not allowing people that have mental health issues and some other things to have access. But to attack specifically the Second Amendment, the right to defend arms, I would disagree with.
One thing before we take a break, it's about race, but it's also about violence. There have been some bad policemen who have gone off track and gone rogue and shot unarmed people, including African Americans. They shoot a lot of white guys too, but most policemen are pretty good guys. Now, but should Congress mandate that police departments hire according to the demographic makeup racially of their districts, so that we've got a more diverse police force? Should that be something we require, Pete?
No, it shouldn't. That's not a role of the federal government. It's a role of the local government.
Mark.
I think it's not mandate, but I think it's smart. Our own congressional office, we have the demographics that make up. I'm the only Republican in Congress that has an African-American legislative director. We have 2 bilingual people speaking here in our district office.
Community policing can do a lot, I think, toward stopping some of this. Not the terrorist attacks, but the violent things going on with police.